Hello, hello. This is Pamela Topjian, and I had already done a video on midwifery and home birth, and I wanted to go into a little bit more with that topic and that subject. So, one of the things that I wanted to talk about was different ways that people will birth when they're at home. So, I had explained my experiences in the last video, and that will be down below in the description. So, please check that out if you're interested in my personal experiences. Now, I should say, if you haven't watched the other one and you don't know me, I am not a midwife. I am not a birth doula or any kind of doula for that matter. I am not a doctor. I am a former nurse, but I did not work in, labor and delivery. So I'm just talking about from my own experiences. I had apprenticed with a midwife, and I've just been super interested in the topic and super interested in natural childbirth and home birth for a long, long time, since the 80s. So, different ways that women will give birth at home is they will squat, and you can squat anywhere. And of course, you need to be careful what's under you if the baby is going to be coming down, or making sure that you have a doula or a midwife or even your spouse that's going to sort of break that fall for the baby. Um, so you can squat, you can stand squat, where you're sort of usually leaning on either your partner, again, the doula, the midwife, your spouse, your partner, anybody, leaning on somebody and squatting down, or over a chair or something like that. And there's a birthing stools, and this is like a U shaped, and it's about 10 to 12 inches off the ground. So it's just a supported squat. And women will choose to lay on their side, and then usually somebody will help hold up the top leg. Um, People will go on their hands and knees, and it just, any of these ways that people birth have to do more with their comfort. And this is what the midwife and the doula will encourage you to make sure you're comfortable, and changing position may make all that difference for you. So it's hard to plan how you want to do it unless you've had a natural or home birth, experience before, and you know what had worked well for you and what felt good for you. However, every birth is different, even if you've had births before. It's not necessarily going to go all the same way. A lot of people, when they think of home birth, they think of water birth. Right away, they think, oh, you had a home birth, you had a water birth. Um, like I said in my last video, that's, not necessarily true. I didn't have a water birth. I didn't want a water birth. I never thought about having a water birth. When I had apprenticed, and I think it was right around 12 births that I had either attended and or assisted with, I think there was only two that were in the water. So, you just, even if you feel like you want a water birth, or even if you feel like you're going to want to be in your bed, you just feel like you're going to want to rest and be laying down. Maybe you've had babies laying down before and it felt better for you than any other way that you were. Even though that's kind of going against gravity and going against your natural body system, I don't think that women back in the caveman days or whatever, would choose to lay on their back, especially. But but some people will choose that because everybody's different, of course. So whatever you choose to do, or whatever way you think you're going to want to do it, be open to change. And I know I said that in the first one, but that's huge. Be open to something different. Be open to, I thought I was going to want to be like this, but it's just not that comfortable. I think I want to try it this way. And that's totally fine. And your midwives, the doula, your birth team will encourage you and show you different ways and help you to move around in different ways that may be more comfortable for you. For a water birth, you can get these birthing pools that you like rent, and you set them up in your house somewhere or in your own bathtub if you've got a nice big bathtub. So those are a couple ways for water births if that's what you wanted. There's also hypnobirthing, and even though I am board certified hypnotherapist, I never did anything like that. Um, but basically, it's before the birth and in labor, you're going to be, getting the suggestions that everything is going well and healthy, and your baby is strong, and you are strong and healthy, and getting those suggestions into your subconscious to help bring it, to make sure that that's what happens, because the mind, body are all connected. And you do some sessions visualizing your labor, visualizing everything going smoothly, everybody happy, everybody healthy, and you just visualize that, as well as learning how to get into those states, those sort of altered states of consciousness to where you're very relaxed, and this will help you through your labor. And the hypnobirthing practitioner will be there with you if they can and help to get you into this state when you're ready. So I don't claim to know very much about hypnobirthing, but that's about all I know. But as I said in the other one, you have the internet. You can look it up. You have everything at your fingertips to make informed decisions and to learn everything about everything. But with that, I want to say that make sure when you're looking at studies, make sure you know where the study is coming from. Is somebody trying to sell you something, and is the study in their favor? So you can have, 10 different studies, and maybe, 7 of them say that something is safe, and 3 of them say it's unsafe. Well, the person trying to talk against whatever it is going to show you these 3 studies that show it may be unsafe. You're like, wow, 3 studies, that's pretty good. I can believe that. But you don't even know about those 7 other studies, right? So be very careful when you're looking at studies and any research, and the bottom line usually comes down to who's funding it. Sadly enough, that's where we are in our healthcare system, and a lot of other systems, but we won't get into that. So you can ask your birthing team anything, and before you are pregnant, call different midwives, email them, reach out to them, ask them anything. And I'm going to have a birthing doula on this channel, which is also going to be the podcast Holistic Connections, Conversations with Holistic Practitioners on podcast platforms, but it's also a playlist on this channel. I'm going to have a birthing doula from Canada. And if you, I said this in the last one, but if you are a midwife or a doula or a hypnobirther, please, reach out to me, and I would love to have you as my guest to talk about what you do. I did get some feedback from the last one, and some of the questions I got were very specific to each midwife, and some of the questions were kind of more medical questions too. So these are the things that you would want to ask your midwife. Ask the people that you're going to be working with, or the people you're going to be potentially working with. You can interview different midwives and to figure out who you sort of align with. The things you want to think about that if you're a first-time mother, you might not think about is in the hospital, there's the vitamin K shot, there's the eye ointment, there's all kinds of blood tests. You want to think about, are these things that you agree with, that you want to have done even if you have a home birth? And if you're not sure, again, do your research, make an informed decision. And that's what this is all about. The holistic connections, conversations with holistic practitioners, and then my last video with midwifery, and this one. The biggest thing that I want for all of you out there is to make an informed decision when it comes to your own well-being and your wellness. Educate yourself. Read, read, read. Look up different websites, look up different people, listen to some of those conversations with those holistic practitioners, learn all about all the different methods and modalities and different ways of doing things for your own well-being and your own health. And this is including in pregnancy and labor and birth. So yeah, always consider the source when it comes to studies. Usually a midwife, whatever team you work with, whether it's a solo midwife and maybe she has apprentices that help when she's at your home, or maybe she's a midwife that works with a team of midwives and maybe they have a birthing center and they offer home birth, or maybe it is a midwife that has a doula or a couple of doulas that work with her. But ask them things about, I've had questions about where would I get this or where would I get that, or how would I know what I need at a home birth? What are the supplies needed and how would I know that? That's going to be up to the individual midwife. A lot of them, I think, have a kit, like a newborn kit that they want you to have at your house, like 6 weeks before you're due. So you can order it from them, or they have resources and places that you can get these things. The same with like a labor and birth kit. So it's all the things that you may need and at your fingertips. And it's usually kind of sealed up. It's like I said, it's like a kit and it's usually kind of sealed up just for sanitation purposes. Or they give you the resources on where to get them, of course. So another thing I failed to mention, there's lotus birth, which is where the umbilical cord is not cut right after birth. It is left to dry up naturally and fall off on its own. After the placenta is born, it's just wrapped up with the baby, and the baby will still be receiving nutrients from the placenta until the cord is cut or until the cord dries up on its own. And it will dry up on its own and it will fall off. And at that time, then your baby is free from the placenta. So you just keep it with your newborn. Some people I think will wrap it separately, or yeah, they'll like wrap it separately and then, of course you have to keep it because they're still attached. So you have to keep it next to the newborn. But other people I think will place it like on the baby's belly and just keep it there, just sort of wrap them together. I honestly, I've never seen one in person. I certainly didn't have one myself. But that is an option. That is something that a lot of, midwives should know about that. You can ask your midwife. You can ask them for good, reputable resources as far as information. Borrow those books. Look up the documentaries. You can look up anything on your own, but as far as the things for each individual midwife or birth team, you have to ask them, of course. So I did get a lot of questions that were more that would be individual to whoever they're working with. So make sure you keep that in mind. But there were some things that, I wanted to add to that last one that I did, and I figured I might as well just do a second video. I wanted to add, the different types of births that people can have at home and the different ways that people birth at home. And I just wanted to reiterate that you have the internet now. And when I was giving birth, I didn't have the internet, especially with the first one. I didn't have access to all the information that everybody does now. So rather than putting a post up on social media or any forums or anything, look into the real resources. It's good to get information from people who have the same experience, but back that up with, do your own search. I think that's really important. So squatting, stand squatting, stool squatting, birthing stool. You can lay on your side, you can lay on your hands and knees, which I've seen several times. You don't even think about that, but it's comfortable for them sometimes. There's a birth ball, which is very much like, like a yoga ball or an exercise ball, very much the same thing. People squat on that. There's a birthing pool, a birthing tub, hypnobirthing, a lotus birth. You will get a birth kit or a pack and probably a labor, same thing, a labor kit that the midwife will include or give you places to get these items that they think you should have at your birth. But again, ask them anything. Find out about, think about the vitamin K shot, the eye ointment, the blood test. Think about these things before you ever give birth. Are these things that you want some say over, or are you okay with whatever the midwife or the hospital, automatically does? Are you okay with it? So you want to think about those things when you're thinking about a birth plan. So yeah, just a quick sort of update, added information from the last one. If you're at all interested in this topic, please listen to the first video that I made on this topic. And hopefully, if you're not subscribed, you will subscribe. And if you liked this video or the other one, please hit that like. I appreciate it. Bye-bye.